Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna. Here basically we are discussing one of the topic that is city creation. City creation basically we are discussing one of the topic that is cricket basically. How basically cricketer group basically finish the house basically. So how they basically finishes the house. So one of the person told that how basically they basically are into the finishing the house. How they basically do this basically. How they basically do this. So I will take one practical example basically. How one of the cricketer told that basically, do you have the list of house basically where the project manager stays basically, so that basically we can help you basically because we just have this type of task only basically. We have got this type of task only basically from our side basically. So we can do that only basically for you basically. One of the cricketer told that, and the other side basically the groups basically started activated basically. भाई क्यों why you are helping is why you are helping him basically, why you are helping him, why you are helping him. That are basically the enemy of Sunil R Nair basically. They basically can't see Sunil R Nair happy basically. One person basically told that basically भाई ये तो he is very happy basically today. He just told basically in front of Sunil R Nair basically. Second day basically Sunil R Nair basically lost the job basically. Why? Because somebody was seeing that video basically. That basically girl or boy basically told Sunil R Nair is happy. So that is basically different thing. That also basically we are going to discuss which are those group basically who are the enemy of Sunil R Nair. In Corona, 100 crore people basically died. Lots of things basically are there. So now here the thing is, one of the person told that how basically this was implemented. So I will take one example. In really basically it's not the rules basically. CAA, Senior Citizen Act basically. So that was implemented in India basically just few months before only. Implementation of rules means what basically? So here basically the law basically comes into the picture basically. How dangerous things are basically, you just see basically. Senior Citizen Act basically came into the picture. They basically implemented in India basically. But before this, 1 crore house was already ended. So one of the person told the CA Act basically was connected with the 1983 World Cup, and lots of other cups basically are also played by the Indian cricket team basically. So one of the person told that the people who are playing in the Indian cricket team basically, they are basically who basically? They are Pakistanis. They are Pakistani Rohingya Muslims. One of the person told that there are many 1983 World Cup basically who won basically. There are many Pakistani people basically in Indian cricket team only. There are many Rohingya Muslims basically. There are many Bangladeshis people basically who are basically into the 1983 World Cup basically who won. So one of the person told that 1 crore house basically they have finished basically, right? So if any of the apartment basically in any of the apartment basically suddenly people basically get disappears na basically, lots of issue basically happens. So everything basically was covered basically. How they basically created this CAA plan? Here basically I am taking the name as a CAA, Senior Citizen Act. In Senior Citizen Act basically the cricket industry basically killed 1 crore family basically. That is 1983 World Cup team basically, and this is fact basically. And this is, and people basically watch cricket also basically. That is the main thing basically here basically. That is the main thing. So that is basically different thing. That basically we are not going to cricket business basically. So here one of the person told that CA Act they have implemented just now. Before that 1 crore family basically have already ended basically. From 1983 World Cup, they have already killed 1 crore family. After that, the CAL rule basically act implemented basically. Everything practically is done basically. They have killed family. But here the question one of the person basically asked, they basically killed the each and every family basically. But 1 crore family was killed. Then how they replace the this 1 crore families basically? So that basically was question. In that same house basically, how they placed the new people basically with the same face structure, every each and every body structures. So here basically we will take one example. Assume that 1 crore family basically who died basically. They are basically from Malayalis, from Tamilians, from Gujaratis, from Sindhis, from like this basically 1 crore people basically was died. So how the Bangladeshis, Rohingya Muslims take over that house basically. So first they basically assume that basically in one apartment basically two families basically are staying. In two family basically there are basically five members basically. There are 10 members basically. Assume that basically. So they first of all basically watched their house basically. That how they are staying, what they are doing, what are their habits, when they are going to out. Like this each and everything basically they are studying basically. This basically how they can do through television basically. In television basically there are many cameras basically kept, and from camera basically they see, and they are basically connected with the Bollywood group basically. So Bollywood group basically gives them training basically that see this person basically is acting like this person is acting like this. So you have to exactly basically create, you do whatever they are doing basically. So exactly they do basically what they are after getting entire trained basically. They basically kills that family, and they basically plans the tour trip or basically whatever trip basically from outside India within India. They basically literally kills that family, and the new family, that is the Bangladeshi Rohingya Muslims and Pakistani Hindus and some other group basically are there basically who take over the house. Here basically I have taken the example of two house basically which was take over, and like this basically 1 crore family are already entered into the India basically. Rohingya, Pakistan, Bangladeshi Muslims are already entered into the India basically. That are the 1 crore people basically. This nobody even this basically it might be possible that basically anybody might have track or not track without police confirmation. This is possible that basically then they do that is not possible. But the police required their task people also basically, so that basically the police whatever say na basically they do basically. So like this police also basically told that basically we will also help them, so they also helped them, and like this basically they have taken over that house basically. Like this 1 crore families already shifted to the India, and after that basically they have implemented CAA, Senate Citizen Act basically, whatever things basically. Here I have taken the name this basically. So one of the person told that political people basically are very. But one of the person told that few things basically political people also basically might not be knowing. This 1 crore people basically died 1983 World Cup basically when the India basically won. In this basically few people basically were Bangladeshis. They won the match for India. So their group basically from Bangladesh basically they shifted their family from there to here basically by killing 1 crore family basically. So the 1983 World Cup basically cost too much basically. 1 crore family basically died. Now basically the 2011 basically also World Cup has basically won basically by the India. So that basically how basically things are basically going to cover. So one of the person told that basically to cover this na basically you should know the each and every player basically who actually they are basically. So in this one of the person told that who is basically the in India basically when basically India basically won the match basically, that time Kapil Dev was there, Ravi Shastri was there, Sharma was there, Roser Binni basically was there, then the Patil Sandeep Patil basically group basically was there. So like this all people basically were there basically. So from this basically who are Pakistanis, who are basically Bangladeshis, that are basically the Rohingya Muslims, who were basically those. So they basically have that team basically has created in India. They have created many companies basically, you can say. You will not believe that basically there are many companies in India, in Vadodara city. They basically only do one task, that is killing the family. Like this basically they have implemented CAA. So one of the person told that ये क्या है यार basically. 1983 World Cup cost this much basically, and 1 crore family basically died basically, and the family died basically. Nobody was able to track that basically. That is the main thing basically. So in this, one of the person told that basically who was Bangladeshi in 1983 World Cup, who basically won basically, because you can't track basically. One person's name is Hindu, but he really is a Bangladeshi Muslim basically. So see the up to what level the cricket is also basically connected. So cricketer basically got this type of task basically. They have got the task, so they have done basically. But few cricketer basically are good also basically. Uh, they basically have got this task only basically. Few good tasks basically they have not done only in this, in their life only basically, because their group basically are connecting to the ending the family basically. So this 1 crore family basically which was ended, and the Pakistan Bangladeshi Muslim basically were entered into the India basically, that was planned basically. That means one of the person told that you have to track how many cameras basically are there in the Vadodara city. From there basically you can track basically how many groups are connected basically. For example, one house basically somebody is watching, they are basically watching each and everything basically, what he is doing, up to what level things basically, what habit he basically have, because each and everything basically is going to replace to that particular person basically. For example, I will take one example. One family, there are 5 members basically. One is boy, another is girl, and one is father and mother, and some other basically member are there. So boy basically have a habit of eating pani puri or eating chaat, this, that, each and every, and he is basically good into the science. So that type of person basically they will find from the Bangladesh basically, and they are Rohingya Muslims basically, who basically already entered into the India basically by killing the family basically. That is 1 crore family has already killed basically by the, with the help of the 1983 World Cup basically. And if this basically anybody watch this video basically, he will literally say that basically, are you sure basically you are telling that basically in 1983 World Cup basically cost this much basically, 1 crore family basically died. So how that is possible here basically? So you want to say that basically the Rohingya Muslim basically are into the 1983 World Cup basically, you want to say that time 1983 CA basically just launched just now basically in 2024. So how many years basically the 1 crore family basically took to replace the Rohingya Muslim? They have already entered. So in this basically the benefit basically who takes? The police department takes the benefits, because they have to do their task basically within the control of that family basically. The political group basically have to do their task within, by controlling that family. This basically how they can do, through this way basically, to controlling that family also and doing the task of their people also, because political people basically create resources like this basically. So one of the person told this is the one case study of the human resource group basically, how basically the resources are created by the police department, by the political family basically, how they have created the resources basically. So that's very dangerous basically. And this is real fact basically. Like this, one of the person told that whenever the rules are implemented in practical in India, the things basically practically things are already happened. So CAA implemented, Senior Citizen Act basically, whatever that is implemented, but the practical thing is already done basically. 1 crore people is already died basically. 1 crore को मार दिया है the cricketer group basically. From that basically one of the person basically is from Bangladesh. He is basically Rohingya Muslim basically, and he changed his name to Hindu so that basically nobody can track him basically. And this was done by one of the city creator group basically. They only can do that basically because they want the resources who basically can do their task, that also basically with perfect 100% trusted basically. The trust basically comes how basically, because he has basically implemented, he has given the place to that particular person basically. That was Rohaniya Muslim and changed his name to Hindu. So one of the person told that basically this Hindu group basically might not have tracked basically. That is also one of the question basically. One person is telling that basically my name is Santosh, my name is Ravi, my name is Subhash. That doesn't mean that basically he is Hindu only basically. That doesn't mean that he is Hindu basically. So like this one of the person told that nobody has tracked this basic 1 crore people basically died. Nobody was able to track that basically. Then few people basically told that the city creation basically has done up to that level basically. Nobody have time basically. In Mumbai basically. I will take one example of Mumbai city. One of the person told how basically the Mumbai lifestyle is basically. This from 1 crore basically. 20 lakh people basically might be 100% from Mumbai city only basically. 20 lakh family has killed and they are replaced with Rohingya Muslim, Pakistanis and few other countries basically. Bangladeshis. With the help of the Maharashtrian government basically. So one of the person told that this is government basically. So I will take example of Mumbai city. How the Mumbai culture basically is. One person basically is staying in the first floor. Same in first floor basically another family is also basically staying. But they basically never recognize that basically this person is staying near to me basically. So that type of apartments basically the Bollywood group basically picks, because they have the control of each and every house with the help of television and camera. So like this house, so this is basically one of the person told that this is also one of the data science project basically, and this is very bad project basically. So he told that like this many house basically are observed. So one of the person told that Bollywood group basically takes how much money basically? 100 crore, 200 crore. Why they basically gets 200 crore basically? Why they get 500 crore basically? So that is also question basically. Anybody gives 500 crore like this basically. भाई ले ले तू 500 crore ले ले. तू 100 crore ले ले भाई. Do you think basically in India basically anybody can give 100 crore like this basically? That also government basically with the help of the government, and government basically is not doing anything of the tax also basically. Tax also basically are exempted basically. Exempted means maafi hai basically tax ka for the Bollywood group basically. Why? Because Bollywood groups are doing their task basically. CAA rules implemented in India. Rules implemented in India. So World Cup basically 1983 World Cup basically cost 1 crore family. 1 crore family. Like this basically I am 100% sure from this 1 crore 20 lakh people basically are from Mumbai city only basically. Because in Mumbai culture basically is the person basically is staying near to you basically. Nobody can know that basically. This person is staying like this basically. The apartments are tracked by the Bollywood group basically. They basically don't go physically there. The televisions are created basically in that way basically. They have the access of their house basically. So just imagine basically how dangerous Bollywood groups are basically. And they are basically very bad people basically, because they get to, but everybody basically are not like that. 200 crore people basically gets. So few people basically are there. But this is fact about the Bollywood group basically. This is 100% fact of the Bollywood group basically, and this is very bad fact. And this basically when I visited Mumbai basically, I worked with the 3i Infotech, I worked with the Capgemini. That time basically I tracked that basically which kind of people Bollywood groups are basically there. And 20 lakh family basically from this 1 crore, they are staying in Mumbai still basically. You can't track it basically. You can't, because it's 1983. From 1983 basically they are staying there. Slowly they have created 1 crore. Slowly they have ended 1 crore family basically. but it was very long term plan basically. And this basically without government basically permission you can't create one single tree also basically in your house basically. Government permission is required, and that basically government will approve na basically, because they are creating the resources basically who are going to do that task for the future basically. And in this basically businessmen basically are also involved. By businessmen basically are investing the money na basically, like Tata Group are there. Tata Group 100% might be knowing this, that in 1983 basically how many people basically died. 1 crore family basically have given their life basically. That are basically the Indian people basically, and they were basically replaced by the Rohingya Muslims, Bangladeshis. So 1 crore family died in 1983. Sorry, in 93 World Cup basically Kapil they basically won. In that 1 crore family has given their life, and Rohingya Muslims basically Bangladeshis has take over the houses of the India 1 crore. Why they have basically taken? Because one of the player basically of India 1983 World Cup, that was Bangladeshi, and he won. So he basically taken their people from Bangladesh, and he killed basically Indian people, and he basically replaced 1 crore Rohingya Muslims. In this, all businessmen basically are involved. In main thing basically Tata Groups are involved, because they are the biggest businessmen basically in India. 1 crore family basically died, that this group basically knows, and this is very bad thing basically which was happened. So one of the person told that how basically this can be tracked here basically. Then he told that Aadhaar card system is there na basically. The person who actually created the Aadhaar card, that is the Infosys group basically, they might be 100% knowing that basically they have the 100% that 1 crore people address basically who actually died and replaced by the Bangladeshis. After that only the CA Act basically came into the picture na basically. After that only the rules basically implemented. From 1983 the things was basically which was going there. That rules implemented just now in 2024 basically. So you can just imagine more than 30 years basically taken basically to implement CA rules, and in 30 years basically 1 crore family basically died. So one of the person told that lots of people basically are in Vadodara also. They are also basically connected with this basically. So it's very dangerous. One of the person told that yeah, this thing basically was something new Sunil basically. So this everything basically are creating problem basically. Some group basically is tracking you, and they are basically, because in this basically government is also involved. So government also basically might be tracking this video, and they also basically might be telling that basically इसको नौकरी नहीं मिलना चाहिए भाई, नहीं तो ये बहुत बड़ी पोस्ट में चला जाएगा ये. And in this, the main thing is Indian people basically are killed. That is 1 crore people basically. So 1 crore is a big amount basically. Sorry, big number basically. 1 crore family means you can just imagine basically. The population of Vadodara city is also basically 1 crore family here basically. They are not here 1 crore families are not here. The population is itself basically is a 42 lakh 43 lakh basically. So it's a 1 crore family basically, I'm telling you basically. So from India basically how many population is there basically? At least basically 200 crore people basically are staying there basically. So Bangladeshi basically killed the people of Indian, and they basically has taken over the Indian house basically. In this basically government has done nothing. Why? Because they are the government resources. So one of the person told that government में भी ये तो ऐसा नहीं है. Inside the government also basically it might be there ना basically. When 1983 World Cup basically was won by the Kapil Dev, that time basically they have placed their people also basically in the Parliament House basically, and they might be doing this all tasks basically. So that basically nobody can track only basically, because in Parliament House basically lots of Indian people are also basically doing their task. Lots of chief ministers are of Indian origin also. Lots of MLAs, corporators are from Indian origin. They also basically can track this because it's a secret mission basically. So they might have placed their people also in the Parliament House, and they were basically connected with these rules and regulation, and they were connected with this 1 crore house, and which are basically the people are shifting from Bangladeshis, Rohingya Muslims, and dumping into the India basically. So one of the person told that it's very dangerous. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this topic, that is how the cities are created and how basically Sunil R. Nair basically is not getting the job.